Thank you for joining us. I'm Allison Haunss, and this is the Working Woman Report. From salons to boutiques to fitness gyms, the shutdown has been devastating to so many small women-owned businesses across the city. At the same time, there are so many amazing women finding ways to not only survive the crisis, but lift others up along the way. Sara Choi is one of those women. As an ER nurse of more than 15 years and as the owner of her own holistic healthcare practice called Sarang Healing, she jumped into action as the coronavirus began to spread, not only helping patients in her practice and at the New York City hospital she works in, but she came to the aid of healthcare workers on the front lines with whom she was working with side by side. Now, you are an emergency room nurse. However, you're also a business owner with a holistic healthcare practice. Tell me what happened when the crisis started to hit.
Well, to be honest, we didn't really know what to expect. We were watching what was going on with China and the healthcare systems there. But we didn't know exactly how it would look like here in New York City. So we were preparing the ER for a capacity to expand. But what I was thinking, not just as an ER nurse, but as a holistic nurse, is how can we take care of our healthcare providers during this pandemic? So I come from an experience of 15 years of being in the ER, and as ER nurses and healthcare providers, doctors, PAs, and residents, we have a tendency to care for other people, but don't care for ourselves. And so it sets us up for what we call moral injury and compassion fatigue. And so during this pandemic, I really wanted to prevent that from happening. And so I went to management and I asked them, on the days that I'm not working as an ER nurse, I would like to come in and support my fellow healthcare providers by holding holistic sessions. And in these holistic sessions, I would provide space for them to feel safe through guided meditation and guided sound healing and wellness coaching. And so management was all for it. Especially with what was going on with the healthcare providers across the world, we wanted to make sure that we were taking care of our staff here in New York City. So initially, we met in the courtyard in front of the ER department, and I set up chairs 6 feet apart with no more than 10 people gathered outside. And I had my sound healing instruments, the gong, sound bowls, chimes, things like that. And I used that as an entryway to be able to hold space and support my fellow healthcare providers by giving them an opportunity to feel safe to talk about what they were processing and how they felt through this pandemic. So when I wasn't an ER nurse at the bedside wearing PPE, taking care of patients and family members, I was taking care of my fellow healthcare providers, nurses, techs, doctors, all the people that work in the hospital.
How can you describe what you went through and what so many other healthcare professionals are going through at this time?
It's challenging to put it in words. When we first heard about what was going on in the city, we were, honestly, personally, I was very concerned for my fellow healthcare providers who didn't have PPE. And so I encouraged people to reach out to Congress to really encourage them to support our hospital systems for equipment and PPE. And then from there, it was worrying about ourselves. Like, are we going to contract this? Are we going to be able to stay healthy so that we can continue to care for other patients? It's been a flood of emotions, waves of emotions, days where we are scared for our own health, scared for our family members and our friends. A lot of these healthcare providers can't even see their own children. They're having to live in different apartments or hotels away from their family members. So my heart goes out to them. Also, a lot of our own healthcare providers, our colleagues, have contracted COVID. Some have recovered, others haven't. And so we are taking on all of these concerns and weights and responsibilities of other people and for ourselves and for the community. And it's been challenging. And I will say, for anyone who is listening, it's okay to have different feelings. Some days you'll feel great, other days you'll feel frustrated or sad, and other days you won't know how to feel. And that's okay. You're not alone in this journey.
Do you think that taking care of healthcare providers moving forward is something that you can continue to do with your programming or expand it to other hospitals?
That honestly is a wonderful question, and it's my passion. When I got into holistic nursing, it was because I had a tough time continuing on as an empathetic and compassionate caregiver because I continued through trauma and didn't take care of myself. So my passion is to support other healthcare providers, to inspire them to have self-care moments during their shift and when they go home. A lot of us are told to just keep going, see the next patient, and we don't make the time to take bathroom breaks, or we're understaffed and so we feel guilty for stepping away from the unit to take a lunch break. But honestly, if we're not taking care of ourselves, we're not going to be at our highest capacity to be able to care for other people. So I really do hope that this situation has opened up healthcare management's eyes across the globe to support programs that are concerned for the wellness and well-being of healthcare providers.
Well, Sara, thank you so much for bringing this issue to our attention and for all that you do and continue to do every day. Please stay safe.
Thank you so much for having me.
And if you want to reach out to Sara during this time, she is supporting individuals remotely via phone and video calls. For more information on Sara and her holistic services, including wellness coaching, guided meditation, Reiki, healing touch, M technique, sound healing, and Thai yoga bodywork, visit saranghealing.com. And she's also on Instagram and Facebook. We'll have that info. Coming up on the Working Woman Report, we'll introduce you to a woman who changed the course of her life when she found her purpose. Now she's helping others to find their purpose too. That's coming up next.
Where high values drive high demand. Where getting ahead comes from giving back. Where the education earns national recognition. Where? Here, at Malloy College. Money Magazine's #1 value all-star in the nation.
I don't look any different than you, but I have type 1 diabetes.
You can't outgrow type 1 diabetes.
It's not caused by your diet, it's not caused by anything you did.
It's kind of hard to live with it.
It's not easy. I do need to check my sugar a lot, my levels.
If you see someone with an insulin pump or pricking their finger and you want to know more about T1D, just ask them.
T1D looks like me.
T1D looks like me.
T1D looks like me.
Our next guest is all about helping women find purpose in their lives, especially at this time when many of us are reevaluating our paths. Genevieve Piturro found her life's purpose as the creator of the Pajama Program, a nonprofit whose mission is to promote and support a comforting bedtime routine for children. She's now teaching other women who want to make a difference in the world how to find their calling too.
Why don't you tell us, the audience, a little bit about the Pajama Program?
Sure. Well, I was a corporate ladder climber and always wanted to be Mary Tyler Moore. So I was following what I thought I wanted to do my whole life. And I was working in Manhattan, climbing the corporate ladder, living in the greatest city I thought in the world, and just trying to get to that top rung to be president of something. And I had a little voice stop me one day, and just literally I heard it ask me, if this is the next 30 years, is this enough? And it really stopped me, because I thought that ladder climbing was, for me, in the corporate world and everything. And I realized that I was alone, didn't have time for family or kids or husband. So I started reading in shelters to be around children. and I would bring books at night and read to them. And when I saw how in some of the emergency shelters they were sleeping in their clothes, I asked if I could bring pajamas the next week. And when I did, and I started to give them out, one little girl asked me, she whispered, "What are pajamas?" And that changed everything. And it was the first time I knew what passion felt like about what I was doing. And all I could think about was bringing pajamas to, of course, her and all these children. I couldn't get it out of my mind that they would go to sleep in their clothes, and all the other things that bedtime meant for me was missing for these kids. So I started to deliver in my neighborhood, and everything I thought I loved about my corporate job went out the window when I was with these children at night. And it grew, and that was 20 years. It's 20 years old now, and it's been incredible. 7 million, good nights for good days, we say. Our magical gifts of pajamas and books bring these kids love. And so we're celebrating 20 years next year, and it's just changed everything. It's a more fulfilling life, and I talk about that all the time, and just wrote a book about it.
That's amazing. So now you've written a book about it, and then you're bringing your message of how you found your pajamas to other women right now. And there's so many women out there, I think, are reevaluating, as we said, their paths. So tell me a little bit about what your book and what you're doing right now.
Yeah, it's so true. Well, I'm talking about, it's called Purpose, Passion, and Pajamas, How to Transform Your Life, Embrace the Human Connection, and Lead with Meaning. So many of us can't even tell you why we went into the line of work we did. We did it because it was expected of us. We did it because we thought we would like it, or if it would bring us the money we were looking for. And over the years of doing that, so many of us realize, is this it? Is this all there is? And I think it's because so many of us didn't use our heart to lead us. We used just our mind and other people's opinions and what was expected. So there's so much that that we bring to what we do every day that's passionate and enthusiastic and joyful, that we leave at home when we go to an office or we go to a job. So I talk about listening to your heart voice and finding that passion. It's never too late. And even if you don't jump off the corporate ladder, you don't have to leave your job, but you do have to slide something in that is whispering. And actually it starts as a whisper and it gets louder and louder the longer you put it off, that it needs a place in your life. So I talk to women and men who are looking for more fulfillment, looking to listen to their heart voice. And it's a beautiful thing when you see that it's not so difficult to add in that one piece. And maybe it's playing the piano, maybe it's working at a dog a place where they take care of the animals, or a senior home, or something, a horse farm, something that is that piece of you that's heartfelt, to slide it into your life, if not replace your job with that.
Coming up after the break, Genevieve shares how she pivoted her programming during the pandemic to meet the surging demand of people looking for meaning, or as she says, their pajamas.
Where high values drive high demand. Where getting ahead comes from giving back. Where the education earns national recognition. Where? Here at Malloy College. Money Magazine's #1 value all-star in the nation.
I don't look any different than you, but I have type 1 diabetes.
You can't outgrow type 1 diabetes.
It's not caused by your diet. It's not caused by anything you did.
It's kind of hard to live with it.
It's not easy. I do need to check my sugar a lot, my levels.
If you see someone with an insulin pump or pricking their finger and you want to know more about T1D, just ask them.
T1D looks like me.
T1D looks like me.
T1D looks like me.
Specifically right now, when COVID-19 hit, did you already plan on doing these digital master classes, and how did it change over the past?
No,
Okay.
I speak regularly on that topic, on human connection, on leading from the heart. But there were so many people that I knew who took this opportunity after the first couple of weeks, or is this really where we are quarantining? But we're thinking long and hard whether it's because it was a reality that they might not have the same job, or they said, I'm rethinking my life. And it was an incredible eye-opening experience for even me. And the topics that I talked about in person that were canceled or postponed, and we'll see if those dates will stick, are the topics that I talk about anyway, that are from personal experience. So I started doing these master classes on Tuesday for free on the human connection, and the 7 things. I do everything in the acronym of pajamas, and the 7 things you need to live a more fulfilling life, and embracing the human connection. And this Tuesday is Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. So it's just online, and it's beautiful to be able to connect with people and have a conversation about some of the ideas that have been on the back burner for so many people.
You were saying that the first class was packed, that you had to do it again.
Yeah, how to live a more fulfilling life. I know, to me, it was key. But like I said, I didn't realize until people started being honest about, I don't know if I would choose the same thing if I were to choose it now. And I have an opportunity, might have been, put on me now to look for something else. But I can't tell you that I loved what I did. And if I have an opportunity, I want to explore doing what I really love. So we did it once and it was packed, and we did it the next week, and still lots of people. So it's great. It just makes such a difference in your life and in people in your lives when you are happy and living from your heart. One of the talks that I give, one of the things I say is that there's a secret to the power of one. And it's that the power of one, the secret is it's the power of one another. To confide in someone, to share something, whether it's your dream or ask, how do I get into that field? We need each other. We can make changes. We can bring fulfillment and passion to our lives, but not by ourselves. So I think the power of one is a great motivator. But at the end of the day, we live by the power of one another.
And we keep hearing the phrase, we're all in this together. So
that's exactly right.
Genevieve, thank you so much for joining us today. You are fabulous as always, and stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
Once again, Genevieve's book, Purpose, Passion, and Pajamas, How to Transform Your Life, Embrace the Human Connection, and Lead with Meaning, comes out on August 4th. If you're interested in participating in one of her master classes, simply head over to her website, GenevievePiturro.com. Of course, we will have all of her information on our website as well, WorkingWomanReport.com. Unemployment data released in early May shows mounting job losses for both women and men. However, women continue to lose a disproportionate number of jobs, accounting for 55% of the 20.5 million jobs lost in April and 60% of the more than 700,000 jobs lost in March. In April alone, women's job losses were 5 times higher than the total decline in women's employment during the Great Recession. So what does this mean going forward? Joining me right now to take a look at the numbers is Nicole Mason, President and Chief Executive of the Institute for Women's Policy Research, a leading voice on pay equity, economic policies, and research impacting women.
This pandemic has really exposed a lot of the challenges that many women before the pandemic were facing, how to, juggle their work and their career, and also take care of their families, because we know that women are primarily responsible for caretaking demands of both their family and their children. And so the pandemic has laid this bare, and we know that it has put women in a double bind. Many women who, they're only 30% of the workforce, is able to stay at home. And so what that means is that many workers have been declared essential. Women workers are essential workers, and they really have to make some tough choices between, providing for their families and bringing home, a paycheck and taking care of their families. So it's a really impossible position.
You were recently quoted in the New York Times. You used the term she session. Is that how would you describe that?
We're definitely in a she session. And what that just means is that, for example, in 2008, men bore and lost a majority of the jobs in 2008. And here in 2020, the recession is predominantly women. Women have bore most of the job losses. And actually, it's a bit more extreme because, for example, we went from a 3% unemployment rate just 2 months ago to a 14.7% employment rate among women. That didn't happen in 2008. So this is more severe and will have a more devastating impact on families, especially women who are primary wage earners and bring in more than 40% of their household income. So this is very devastating for working women and families.
Do you think we'll be able to get back to the pre-COVID numbers?
Not right away. Absolutely not. Because we have to be very honest and be very clear that many of the jobs that have been lost over the last couple of months, many of them will not be coming back because some businesses will not be returning. So it really creates a sense of emergency and I would even say desperation among workers because you have 20 million jobs lost, and we all know that all those jobs will not be coming back.
So what do you want to see in this, what they say is the final package, the next stimulus package?
So very clearly, I think we need to see money going to states so that they can shore up their budgets and not cut vital services and programs to families. So that's the first thing. I like to see continuous stimulus payments directly to families, and because $1,200 was certainly not enough to keep many families afloat. So we have a long road ahead of us, and in terms of economic recovery, we need to make sure that families and working people have money in their accounts to be able to pay for their basic necessities and make ends meet.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. You've given us a lot to think about, and I certainly hope that you'll stay in touch and please keep safe and continue the amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you for having me on, and we're all in this together.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And if you want to learn more about the Institute for Women's Policy Research and take part in some of the upcoming webinars the IWPR is hosting, or sign up for the newsletter to be in the know about new research, simply head to their website, IWPR.org. Of course, we'll have all that information on today's program on our website, WorkingWomanReport.com. And that's it for this week's edition of the Working Woman Report. Thank you so much for joining us and being part of our community. Be sure to keep in touch online through our website and social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you name it. We're always here to help and share what we learn. Remember, we're all in this together.